你知道，但是我忘了. Hey folks, welcome back to Lingoni English. My name's Brian, and today we have a special guest for you. This is Andrew.
Hi guys.
So I thought I would invite Andy onto Lingoni so you could get to know him a little bit. So, Andrew, where are you from?
I'm from China.
And something that I thought was neat when I first met Andrew was that his accent was very native sounding. So when I first met him, I thought he was maybe from Canada. Why did you have a Canadian accent?
When I met Brian, most of my coworkers were from Canada, and after a couple months, or like even over a year, of working together with them, I just naturally picked up their accents.
So how did you get such a good accent in English?
I guess I'm just more sensitive to sounds and accents. I think one thing that's really helpful is to watch as many TV shows and movies as you can in English, but not just in the accent you want to learn, but in all kinds of accents. Watch English movies from everywhere, all around the world. I think that's actually really helpful to train your ears and make you more sensitive to different accents.
It's funny because sometimes I'll meet French people and talk to them, and they'll say to me, wow, your accent is very good. Usually Americans are bad at producing accents, but I think this is true for a lot of people, regardless of what their first language is. And that some people are just particularly good at hearing different sounds and reproducing those sounds as well. And I think Andrew's one of those people too. So, how has your experience been adjusting to life in Massachusetts?
Well, I've lived here for 5 years, and in the beginning, it was a lot of figuring out what I was able to do. Also, because I'm from another country, so there are a lot of limitations on where I can work or what I can do, and the paperwork is a lot too. Before coming here, I didn't even know there was a difference between checking accounts and savings accounts, because in China we have only one account. Other than that, I've always been tight on money, and living in a very expensive city like Boston, that sometimes means I have to work extra hours just to make sure I can pay rent and pay for school.
Yeah, and I think when I thought of Andrew first moving here, that he already spoke English fluently, so that moving here wouldn't be too difficult. For me, moving to Germany was tough because I spoke a little bit of German and I'm still improving as time goes on. But it's still hard because there's a lot of paperwork that I need to get done, and I'm not German and I don't speak the language fluently enough to do paperwork. So that's a big barrier for me and a big challenge.
One thing I can say is that it's only getting easier. In the beginning, it was hard. It was really hard, because I was working full time and going to school. I mean, I'm still doing that, but I'm almost done with school, so that's a big relief.
Ooh. What are you
And
going to school in?
I go to Boston University for a master's degree in software engineering.
What are some of the biggest cultural differences that you notice between places in China where you've lived and in Massachusetts?
It's very interesting because I was expecting way bigger of a culture shock when I first came here, but it just never landed.
Really?
And I think that among younger people, the younger generations, we pretty much all act the same way. We all grew up with social media, with the internet. I think they're just a lot smaller, the difference we have. But I think when I'm interacting with people either I work with, or for example people in a bank or people working in grocery stores, the way I interact with them, I think is very different here. But personal relationships, I think, are really similar here as with China. Right.
So, how would an interaction at a bank or a supermarket be different here than in China?
I think people working in banks here are just way more polite. I don't want to say that to offend Chinese people, but it's kind of true.
I mean, if it's a cultural reality, then it is what
Right.
it is, right?
Right.
Yeah, I've experienced that a lot too, where sometimes I'm at the supermarket or at a bank or some office, and the person who's working there in Berlin is, yeah, not so friendly. And I think that's part of Berlin's reputation. But I've also had moments where I've gone to the foreigner's office, the Ausländerbehörde, or what I would call in the US immigration, or to City Hall, and the people who are working there have been really friendly to me and have had great conversations with me. So there, I think it, kind of depends on your luck. And I'm sure the same happens in China too, right?
Right.
But here in the US, there's a big culture on having good customer service. And that's really important here, and a lot of companies push that in order to build a better reputation for their company. And I'm guessing that it makes them more money too.
Right.
And what were you saying again about more personal relationships? How are those? Those are similar in China to here.
I guess one thing that's different is the expectations that people have. For example, in China, when you visit someone who's a senior or who's older than you, you're expected to show them respect by bringing them gifts. But in America, it's not always expected. And in China, when you go to a housewarming party, you're not always expected to bring things. But in America, it's more customary to bring a gift.
Interesting. So now we're going to reverse roles a little bit. I do speak a little bit of Mandarin, and so Andy is going to ask me a couple questions in Mandarin that I haven't spoken it in a couple years, but I will try my best to answer.
准备好了吗？
准备好了。
你最喜欢的语言是什么？
我最喜欢的语言可能是法语，因为很美丽，不太难。我认为吗？中文一点难，德语太难了，不很容易。
还有一个，你最喜欢的食物是什么？
你知道，但是我忘了，我最喜欢的
牛肉粉。
牛肉粉，对，但是我不太喜欢粉。羊肉粉，对。
羊肉粉是遵义很有名的一种小吃。
所以我2年在中国遵义住的，所以我很喜欢羊肉米皮，我不太喜欢粉。但是现在我不吃肉，但是我记得这是我以前很喜欢的，所以谢谢你们，谢谢张卓。So thanks for joining us today, Andy. It was great to have you as a guest. And thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to check out our other YouTube videos for tips on improving your English. See you there.
Bye.